Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. This is Shaila Akhtar, Assistant Professor English. Today I'm present here with an online class for the students of Honours Third Year, and the subject of our today's class is Introduction to Linguistics. And the topic we are going to discuss today is language varieties from Sociolinguistics, and it is the second lecture on the same topic. My dear students, though this is the second lecture on the topic of language varieties from sociolinguistics, I'm going to start with some basic concepts on sociolinguistics. Sociolinguistics is concerned with language in social and cultural context, and it descriptively studies the effect of different social aspects on the way language is used. People with different social identities such as gender, age, ethnicity, race, class speak in different ways, and the sociolinguistics study these socio-cultural varieties in language use. The social aspect of language were first studied by Indian and Japanese linguists in the mid-20th century. Thomas Cullen Hodgson for the first time used the term sociolinguistics in his article Sociolinguistics in India in 1939. In the West, this term was first used by American linguist William Labov and British linguist Basil Bernstein in 1960s. William Stewart and Heinz Claus introduced the basic concepts of linguistics. The sociolinguistics investigates how social structure influences the way people talk. Now let's know the subject matters of sociolinguistics. Interdependency and interrelationship between society and language, nature and cause of language varieties, various effective factors of language variations, nature of mixed varieties of a language like Pigeons, Creoles, registers, Diglosia, bilingualism, multilingualism, etc., and relationship between language and cognitive thinking. My dear students, during our last class, we have discussed on dialect, standard language, social dialect or sociolect, regional dialect, and standard language, and the standardization process, that means selection, codification, elaboration function, and acceptance, etc. While discussing on sociolinguistics and especially language varieties, speech community is a very common and important topic to discuss, and we have to have a clear idea about this term. So let's know what speech community is. A speech community is a group of people who share a common linguistic behavior, and they have a common set of norms and expectations regarding the use of language. Speech community does not depend on any particular geographical area. The people of a speech community may live in different places, but they must follow common linguistic norms. For example, we can say the people of the English speaking community live in different places like England, America, Australia, and so on. All the people who speak in English as their first language are the members of the same speech community. Similarly, all the people who speak in Bangla as their mother tongue all over the world are the members of the Bangla speech community. Linguist Leonard Bloomfield for the first time used the term speech community in his book Language, and some definitions of speech community are given in your relating textbooks or some other aiding books. I'm going to mention two of them. According to Leonard Bloomfield, a group of people who interact by means of same speech language is a speech community. And according to Charles Hockett, each language defines a speech community. The whole set of people who communicate with each other either directly or indirectly via the common language. So this is speech community. Let's see whatever we have to discuss. My dear students, whatever we are going to learn today is mixed languages, and mixed languages includes registers, Pigeons, Creoles, Diglosia, borrowing, code switching, and code mixing. Okay, let's start with registers. Registers are the functional speech varieties of an individual. We speak differently in different situations or different occasions, and these different varieties are our registers. For example, you can say a man may have to play different roles in a single day, as a husband to his wife, as a passionate father to his children, as a colleague to his colleagues, as a customer to a shopkeeper, as a patient to a doctor, as a master to his maidservant, and so on. Each of the time he has to change his register according to the demand of the context. For example, while speaking with one's own child, someone may say, "John, don't play with the flower vase. You may break it." But in the same situation, while someone is speaking with the neighbor's child, he will say, "Dear Jack, you shouldn't play with the flower vase. It might be broken, okay?" So here is the difference of the way of speaking of the same person in the same situation with two different person, with two different relationship. So there are 5 types of registers, such as oratorical or frozen register, deliberative or formal register, consultative register, casual register, and intimate register. Now, pigeons. Pigeons are mixed languages which are used in the conversations between the speakers of two or more different languages. When speakers of different languages come into contact with each other and are unable to learn each other's languages, they themselves begin to create a common grammatically simplified version out of their own languages, and this is called a pidgin language. The process of creating a pidgin is called pidginization. And to mention the basic features of a pidgin language, we have to say pidgins are created for fulfilling specific purposes. For example, the pidgin which is created by the traders of cattle is not applicable in the conversation between the traders of vegetables. A pidgin should be as simpler to learn as possible, and pidgins are known as trade languages or trade jargons. Usually traders and seamen of different countries use pidgin languages for their trade related communication. So, my dear students, the sailors have played important role in spreading major colonial languages like English, French, Spanish, Portuguese and Dutch, and their trade jargons are the early pidgins in the world. So some well-known pidgins are nautical English, maritime French and talk pidgins. In the form, structure and vocabulary of a pidgin is formed based on the vocabulary of the language of the dominant group. As for example, you can say the pidgins created in different colonial periods were developed in forms and structures based on the forms and structures of the languages of the colonial groups. And most of the pidgins are based on English, French, Spanish, Portuguese and Dutch languages. A pidgin usually lacks complete grammatical morphology and sufficient vocabulary. And again we can show an example here, that is the English sentence, he will not see me, and it can be spoken by the speakers of a talk pidgin as Bay am I no looking me. So this is far more different from the main given English sentence, he will not see me. Now Creole. So before starting to discuss about Creole, we have to know what is lingua franca is. So lingua franca is the natural language of a community. When a pidgin becomes a lingua franca or natural language of a community, it is called a Creole language. The gradual process of a pidgin's turning to a Creole is called creolization. A Creole acquires standardized grammar, vocabulary and sound system. The children of a pidgin speaker couples use their parents' pidgin language as their mother tongue, and gradually that pidgin language gets a regular form and structure and becomes a Creole. Here we have two examples of pigeon, and Webster in 1960 cites these examples. The first one is Korean Bamboo English, and it is an English-based Creole created during the Korean War in the early 1950s. And the second one is Haitian Creole, and this is another well-known French-based Creole language. Now, Diglosia. Diglosia refers to the situation in which two languages are used under different conditions by a single language community. For example, during the period of Norman conquest in Europe, the ruling class people used to speak in French among them, and while speaking with the natives, they used to speak in English. Similarly, we have another example here, that is, the people living in Bangla town in London speak in Bangla while speaking with their Bengali neighbors, and the same community speaks in English while speaking with the native English people. This is in diglossic condition. A speaker chooses different languages or dialects for different contexts. And diglossia includes two varieties of language use. These are H variety or highly codified variety or standard variety, and the second one is L variety or low variety or vernacular variety. So high variety or highly codified variety is generally used in the most formal contexts such as literature or formal education, and the L variety or low variety is generally used in ordinary conversation. It is also called colloquial variety. Now, borrowing. When a word is borrowed from another language, this process is called borrowing. Borrowing happens especially when people of one community dominate people of another community, and the dominated community borrows the necessary words from the vocabulary of the dominator community. As for example, we can say, we can mention some borrowed words. Borrowed Latin words. With the introduction of Christianity by the Romans in 597, the English people borrowed many Latin words like nun, priest, pope angel, temple, school, master, grammatical, verse, etc. And if we want to mention some borrowed French words, we have to say, because of the Norman conquest of England in the 11th century, many French words were borrowed like baron, prince, princess, noble, royal, diamond, pearl, veil, etc. We also can mention some borrowed Spanish words such as alligator, guitar, mosquito, tornado, etc. And some Italian words which are borrowed by the English people. Those are pasta, pizza, espresso, etc. and the Arabic civilization had fully spread through Spain by 11th and 12th centuries, and because of this Muslim conquest many Arabic words were borrowed, such as algebra, zenith, amalgam, algorithm, etc. Now, code switching. When a single speaker alternately uses two or more languages or language varieties in a single context of conversation, this is called code switching. Code switching happens very often when the speakers of a conversation are bilingual or multilingual. It is like moving back and forth between two or more languages or dialects or registers. It occurs far more in conversation than in writing, and generally people use code switching to mark switching from informal situations, that means while using native languages, to formal situations, that means using second language, or to hide fluency problem in the second language. Now here I have shown some examples of code switching for you. Code switching is a universal phenomenon which reflects the grammars of both languages in a single speech. For example, here I have used the first example as শুনতে পাচ্ছ না, someone is crying. If we used the entire sentence in English, the sentence would be, can't you hear that someone is crying? Here the speaker has switched from code of Bangla language to code of English language. In the same way, we have another example here. के बोले you are zero, तू तो इस जहाँ का hero है. Here also the speaker has switched from the code of Bangla language to the code of English, then again to the code of Hindi. So ke bole is a Bangla part and you are zero is the code of English, and tu to is jahan ka hero hai, this is the code of Hindi language. And the second sentence may be termed used for an example of multilingualism or also, and the first one is an example of bilingualism where the speaker is accustomed to use two languages at the same time, that means bilingualism. And the second example here, ke bole you are zero, tu to is jahan ka hero hai, here the speaker has frequently used three languages, so it is an example of multilingualism also. Now code mixing. Code mixing is to some extent similar to code switching, but here the speaker only borrow particular words or phrases from one language and adapt it in another language. For example, we can say আমার মাথায় খুব pain হচ্ছে. So if we used it in English, the sentence would be I have a bad headache. But here the main sentence is a sentence of Bangla, that is আমার মাথায় খুব pain হচ্ছে, and simply the speaker has borrowed a single English word pain in this sentence. So the sentence becomes আমার মাথায় খুব pain হচ্ছে, and this is mixing. And in the second example, here we have আমার মনে হয় I should consult with the doctor soon. This is a sentence of English language, and the entire English sentence would be I think I should consult with the doctor soon. but the speaker here mixed the Bangla phrase আমার মনে হয় for the English phrase I think, and the sentence becomes আমার মনে হয় I should consult with the doctor soon. So here we have two examples of code mixing of Bangla and English language. So my dear students, I have to stop here today, and very soon we will be together with another class again. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.